So one of the things we all need to try and do is to look to turn to our young children and find ways to ensure that they're going to be able to enter the workplace and find a way of working to get income. It's going to be a vital skill. With what's called the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the way the world is changing, there's so many different opportunities and so many different ways to make money. Adam Fairall is a middle school teacher at Reddam House Atlantic Seaboard. Adam, good afternoon to you. You'll notice I'm talking about ways of getting an income rather than using the word job. How is the way that people work for income changing?
Well, good afternoon, Stephen, and happy Youth Day to you. I think the way people work today is changing. I think the motivation behind work is also changing. Young people want to do something that they find interesting, that they're passionate about. They no longer just want to earn an income, but they want to work in a way that makes some sort of difference in the world. And I think digitally, that has given young people a massive opportunity. Social media platforms like TikTok have really given young people the opportunity to start looking at completely out there, left ball sort of ways of thinking when it comes to earning an income, when it comes to being an influencer, or when it comes to choosing careers that are not expected or standard or have been anticipated in the past.
One of the things I found in my life, I mean, I'm probably a bit older than you, but is simply that if I'm not interested in it, I'm not going to do it. I would have been the world's worst accountant. Do you find that with children?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, as a middle school teacher, I find a lot of what I do is selling the idea of getting students involved in tasks. And if they believe in what they're doing, they're far more likely to not only just do it, or participate in it, but to really get involved and to invest. And at our school, we've done a whole lot of projects along those lines where we're starting to sort of put the curriculum next to real-life world learning opportunities to expose students to maths in the workplace, maths in the real world, maths, English, science, in ways that they can actually sort of connect with it and sort of form a passion for it.
So how do we prepare children? What do we actually do? When do we need to start preparing them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think exposure is key. I think for children to be exposed to a lot of different things in order to sort of allow themselves to develop passions, interests, I think that's an important thing. I think what we can do is we can encourage our children to do very practical things. There's a massive divide technologically, financially in the finance sort of world between, Main Street and Wall Street, the idea of finance and numbers and hypothetically solving problems to actually solving real world problems. So I think allowing your children the opportunity to engage the world, to get practical, start their own businesses, volunteer at NPOs, NGOs in the neighborhood, just to kind of get more involved in their communities. I think then you develop a passion and an interest and an empathy that then directs you as an individual.
A lot of children do very well at school. A lot of us did very badly at school. And one of the reasons may be because school is quite narrow. In other words, you can do well at a certain number of things. The working world is so much wider than that. You're talking about exposing children to a world that's much wider than school.
Correct. I think the narrative, the general narrative is that some schools fail students in terms of not really adequately preparing them for the future. And that's something that we've just felt as teachers, in the industry, that we need to start looking at embracing and going, okay, well, what can we do to equip students, to equip these young people for a world that we don't know what the future holds. We can't, foresee where they're going to go. So how do we equip them with skills, like dynamic thinking, flexibility, so that they can take on the world, take on future problems, future issues, and have the kind of the mindset to engage the problems, but also the skills to dynamically solve them.
Sometimes a child just doesn't want to do anything, Adam. I mean, I think sometimes maybe they're only like that with their parents, actually. But, I mean, what do you do then? If the child just says, well, I want to do this and I'm not going to do anything else. I'm not going to leave my room, or I'm not going to leave my screen, or I'm not going to leave my book, or whatever it is, to actually get them to do that.
Yeah, that's a difficult one because I think we've got to be careful from developing young people who are self-entitled, in the sense of saying that the world's just about what they want to do, and even though this is an encouragement to say, hey, there's so many new opportunities out there, and students can do and engage in things that we would never have dreamed of being careers or opportunities. But the hard reality is that, and especially post-COVID, we're looking at a world where we've got to kind of switch on again, and we've got to get involved and expose students and get them actively engaged in things that sometimes aren't going to be that easy. And that is a challenge. It definitely is a challenge. However, I think that if it's a group thing, if it's collaborative, if we get together. I've got a friend who's developed this concept called cognitive apprenticeship, working alongside students, teaching them how to think, teaching them how to step outside these bubbles that they find themselves in, and look towards future opportunities, new opportunities, exciting things, and getting involved, getting their hands dirty as such.
Adam Farrell, thanks very much indeed, middle school teacher at Reddam House Atlantic Seaboard. Well,